motherhood. 1 minute, you're mom of the year.
I love you, Mommy.
Then the next, not so much. From bath time to bullying, from potty training to puberty, parenting is full of challenges. But one thing is for certain, you are not alone. Welcome to Modern Mom Probs. I'm your host, author, mother, parenting expert, Tara Clark. Join me while we tackle today's modern mom problems. Nina, welcome to the show.
Tara, thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to talk to you about all the things, birth, motherhood, all of it.
All the things. I feel like we've known each other, but haven't quite known each other. We've been in the same orbit for a while, but have never actually spoken until right now.
I know. It's so fun to finally connect. Isn't it crazy how the internet works? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I know you, but I don't know you, but I'm excited to meet you, but I know you.
Yes, exactly. All of those things. So we're going to chat about everything today. We're going to talk about birth planning and what goes into that. But before we get into that, you are a certified baby planner, a doula, and you are the creator of The Baby Chick. And yes, you are the baby chick. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how the whole thing came to be.
Yes. So thank you for that introduction. Yes. So I first started my career as a certified baby planner. And then I realized that no one really understands what baby planning is. And if you're listening and you're not sure what that is, think of it as like a wedding planner helps you plan your wedding. A baby planner helps you plan and prepare for baby. So I had a baby planning client who was like, you just build this strong relationship with someone when you're helping them their entire pregnancy. And she actually invited me to her birth, which I was like, okay, what am I getting myself into? But I'm excited. Let's do it. And she had a doula there. And oh my gosh, Tara, I like bawled. It was so beautiful. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And in that moment, it's kind of like a calling, like to the priesthood. You either know you're in it or you're not. Like, it was the calling of, oh, you have to do this. So then I worked towards my certification as a birth doula. And then I realized not enough people think about postpartum. So I went and got my certification as a postpartum doula. I also realized that how powerful touch is during especially labor. So I went and got my license in massage therapy and got certified in prenatal, labor induction, labor, and postpartum massage, as well as infant massage, and became an infant massage instructor. I'm a hypno-babies hypno doula. I'm a childbirth educator, newborn care educator. I've done as much as I could to really help parents in my area during that transition from pregnancy to motherhood. And yeah, my now husband, but then boyfriend or fiance, I'm not even sure what we were at that point. He was like, you're so knowledgeable and passionate. And I had built this company here in Houston, Texas, where I'm based, called Bassett Baby Planning, which Bassett is my maiden name. And I had 12 doulas working for me. We had classes and massage and all of this stuff. And he's like, gosh, you really need to share this information to people everywhere. And he said, and your nickname that you've kind of gotten through your work, because I'm the baby chick, the chick that works with babies, not the farm animal. He's like, we should do it after your fun nickname, like call it Baby Chick, and it shares all of that information. And so we launched Baby Chick on Mother's Day 2015. And yeah, I can't believe that it'll be 9 years later and we're still running. And again, just trying to really help mothers during pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and beyond, to just let them know that, gosh, there's not just one right way. There's a million ways to do pregnancy, birth, and postpartum and parenthood. And we're just there to help them every step of the way with that, with information and support and all of that stuff. It was a very long-winded answer, Tara, but I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it answered all of my questions and then some. And now you're a mother yourself.
I am. And isn't that funny? So most people are like, oh, I gave birth and this is what really called me. No. I was called to do this before I even met my husband. I was doing this. So yes, after we started our companies, I didn't become a mom until October 2017, my son. And then my daughter came along February 2021. And so I have two kiddos, 6 and 3, and they are constantly teaching me lessons. They are constantly teaching me lessons every day.
Yes. I mean, children are the best teachers. I think so.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They say that we're their teacher. Oh my goodness. They teach us just as much, if not more sometimes, about ourselves, about life, about all the things.
Yeah. All the things that I would say is probably one of the biggest learnings that I've had as a parent is that how much children teach us. We go into it thinking, oh, we're the leaders and they're going to listen to us and they have to follow what we say. And really, it's not. We have to take a step back and let them lead sometimes. And that's when both parties end up doing so much learning.
It's so true.
Yeah. So I want to talk about birth planning because that as a phrase, before you became who you are and do what you do, I guess I just never really thought of it as a phrase together. And like, of course, I must have planned for my son's birth, obviously, but I just never thought of it like that. So like, what does a birth planner do? And like, what goes into that for an expectant mother?
Oh, great question, Tara. So when you're thinking about birth planning, you're probably already thinking about what should I pack in my hospital bag? Who is my doctor? What am I going to put in my birth plan? Am I going to take a childbirth class? If so, which one? And those are usually the main things that people think about when it comes to planning for their birth. But some things that I like to talk to my clients about and our audience about are some things that you may not hear about and I think are just as important to really think about when birth planning. So one thing is, just because you hired your doctor or your midwife to help you during your labor, are they going to be on call during your labor? And, you know, I actually, on our podcast, interviewed a childbirth attorney who does cases on unfortunate, birth experiences. And she said the major thing is really who is going to be there for you and support you during labor. And as a birth doula, I couldn't agree more with this because even though you maybe build this really strong relationship with your doctor, they might not be on call and you don't know which nurse you're going to get when you get there. So a little tip I will say is you can't really necessarily guarantee who your care provider is going to be on that day if your doctor is not on call. But my tip that I always give my clients is when you're checking into the hospital, something that you can do, whether you're planning to have an unmedicated birth or you want that epidural on the parking lot, when you're checking in, still ask for a natural childbirth friendly nurse. The reason why I give this tip is those nurses are the ones that are generally a lot more open-minded, a lot more excited about the whole experience, will have different ideas if things stall out, rather than a nurse that just like comes in, straps you in, have a good day, I'll check on your vitals in the nurse's station kind of thing. So having someone who's really involved and there for you, thinking about, and if you're still unsure also, as a doula, obviously I'm biased, hiring a doula, someone in your labor and delivery room to be your advocate, to really understand the medical jargon of what's going on. You build this relationship with them throughout your pregnancy and really thinking about, okay, I want to have someone who is going to be looking out for me, my baby. And I mean, Tara, when you're in labor, it takes every fiber of your being to get through the contractions until you get the epidural or whatever. And sometimes even when you have the epidural, you don't know what all the beeping is. You don't know, what they're looking for or the fetal heart tones and those kind of things. So having someone in your room can really help you with that experience. Another thing is to think about if you are planning on getting an epidural during labor, what are you going to do if it only works for a little bit or if it only works on one side of your body. What did you do for your labors, Tara?
Well, no, actually, do you want to hear my story? So so my son was breech, and we knew that he was breech for just about the entire time. And regardless of what we tried, he didn't want to move. And ironically, I was also breech, 40 years ago. And at the time, the doctors didn't know that. And my mom was trying to have me naturally. And then I was like a crash C-section 40 years ago. And so I'd like to think that it probably has something to do with maybe the shape of our uterus. I don't know, but it's coincidental that both I and my son were breech. So having said that, my son was a scheduled C-section.
C-section. Yes. Which those are also, thank goodness for modern medicine, like for being able to take care of moms and doctors. I am also like, we're all on the same page. We just want everyone to have a good experience, whatever they are choosing, to feel empowered during it, to feel that it's a positive experience, because C-sections are birth. Like that is still giving birth. And so I love that. I just always like to ask, when you were nodding, I was like, oh, Tara, do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
Well, so what's also interesting is that like I said, my son was scheduled. He was born on a Tuesday morning at 9:00 in the morning. We knew what to expect. What I didn't know is that morning I actually was having contractions, but I didn't realize it until I went into the hospital, and then they monitored me, and my doctor was like, you're like in labor. Like you actually are having contractions right now. And I was like, is that what those were? And so I want to talk about that. No, because that was really something that surprised me and scared me because I didn't understand. And I feel like I'm probably not the only woman out there that didn't understand that. So let me paint the picture. I remember waking up the morning that my son was born. And like I said, I didn't know that I was in labor, contractions, whatever. I didn't know that. I remember waking up and like it taking my breath away. Like he would take my breath away. But I thought that it was that he moved in a funny position, or because he was breech, or I don't know. I just thought like maybe it was indigestion. I didn't know that feeling of taking my breath away, those contractions were actually what they were, which were contractions. And so looking back, I laughed. I'm like, how did I not know what that was?
Well, you'd never gone through it before.
But I had never gone through it. And I felt like no one did a good job of explaining to me what that felt like or what I should expect. Right. And so, like I said, until I went to the doctors and the hospital that day to have him, and they strapped me up and they were like, and the doctor showed me the monitor and he's like, look, Tara, it's here. And I was like, that's what keeps taking my breath away? And he's like, yes, that's what keeps taking your breath away. But I just didn't know. And so like, what would you say to somebody who, and like, I know this sounds silly, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. What would you say to somebody who just simply doesn't know what to expect?
gosh. You and every other mom. I even have second time moms like, okay, well, I know what's going on. And I'm like, sister, you have had a baby before. Why are we talking about this? But I think it's just birth is so unpredictable. Labor is so unpredictable. We don't know what to expect. And not only just for one baby, but for every single pregnancy, it can be completely different with the same woman. And so I think that, and when people ask, what do contractions feel like, Tara, also some women, and I've been to over 300 births. So some women, they can handle the contractions, I hate to say this, better than other women. They're just breathing through it and they're like, yeah, these are tough, but I can get through this, Nina. Yeah. And then other women are like, nope, tapped out. I'm done. I can't do this. I'm good. I felt one and I'm over this. And that's okay too. And it sounds like, Tara, like you were probably in good, like early labor and you were going to like ramp up because you were able to talk and walk through them. But once you are no longer able to really talk and walk through them, you have to like stop what you're doing. And they feel almost like a wave. You're like, oh, wait, and I'm noticing a pattern. Wait a second, this might be labor. So that's great that you were already like probably in early labor when you were going to have your son. So he was ready. He was excited to meet you too.
Yes, he was ready. He was full term. He was super healthy. The only problem was that he was upside down. And so we just had to, and he just, like I said, regardless, I could stand on my head. I could put cold packs of frozen peas on me. You know, nothing would get him to move. And my doctor did not want to physically right him. So we just said it was just safer to do the C-section. And so that's what we did. But I'll never forget going in and my doctor was like, yeah, Tara, look at this monitor. Like, you're actively in labor right now. Don't you realize that? I was like, I didn't know what those were. I just thought like it was just, I thought he was just moving around.
I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't understand. And like, I knew it took my breath away, but I didn't know that was the same thing. And so it's so many weird things happening with your body at that time. And so that can be scary too. So like, what do you say to people who, I don't know, are sort of just scared about everything that's happening to their body?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was even scared of going into labor, and I've been to tons of births, and people are like, you were scared? I'm like, yeah, because again, I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if I'm going to be in labor for 3 hours or 3 days. I don't know what this is going to be like. And I don't know how my body's going to handle it. And I don't know if my baby has a short umbilical cord or there's the cord wrapped around his neck 3 times, or I don't know what's going to happen. And all of those unknowns. And if you know me, I am a planner. I like to
literally
be prepared.
You are the planner.
Yeah. So when I can't fully prepare what's going on, I'm like, so that can be scary. So when someone tells me that, I'm like, oh my goodness, you are totally not alone. Those feelings are common, and not only common, normal. And I just recommend surround yourself with support, with people who are going to just spread love and light on you and positive affirmations about, you know, the wonderful work your body is doing, growing this beautiful baby, and trusting in that. And just take it one day at a time. Like, don't try to overthink it. Your body is amazing. Look what it's already done, grown this healthy baby. So just, don't be so hard on yourself. Take a breath. You can do this. That's what I would say.
That's really, really good advice. I also remember from that day, we were at the hospital and we were signing in our like intake forms. You know, when you have to go to the hospital, you have to like fill out your name and your insurance information, all of that stuff. There was another couple next to us, and God bless her, the woman was like in active labor. She couldn't even sit down. She couldn't stop moving. Like my husband and I were like white. And so it was like her husband. So like all 3 of us were like white as a ghost watching her. And I felt so bad. And she was so uncomfortable. I was like, please, someone help this woman. She really needs help. And she just like I said, she just couldn't stop moving, couldn't get comfortable.
Yeah. She's like primal at that point, you know?
She really was. And that was scary for us because like here we are just filling out like our stupid paperwork. And
you're like, great, this is what I have to look forward to.
That's what I thought. I didn't know. I was like, this is really, I'm scared. Somebody help me. But I think you're right with what you say about surrounding yourself with good people who can help answer those questions and alleviate those fears. Like, I'm an only child, so I don't have sisters to look to. My husband has one brother, so it's not like we could look there to say like, hey, you know, and so we didn't have anyone to really ask those questions of or support us. And I think you're right when you say that it's so important to have a doula to say, it's okay, Tara. Like, don't worry. Just like focus on your stuff. Don't look at her. She'll be okay. She's having a baby too. Just fill out your form, go into your room, have your baby. Because, you know, you start to like see everything and it gets scary. It gets overwhelming, I should say.
Yes. No, and scary. That's valid too. It is overwhelming and scary. And yeah, if I were right there with you, Tara, I'd be like, oh, she's doing great. Look at her go. Go, mama. You are moving that pelvis. Get that baby down low. Like, I would have made it a little lighter.
Yes.
I would have also probably done a little counter pressure to help her. Been like, okay, here's a tennis ball, rub this. Also, here's some hot and cold therapy. Hopefully they have some in your room. Trying to give some tips before she heads on out. But yeah, I mean, yeah. And that's the other thing people don't think about is, okay, what can I do to help alleviate the pain before the epidural comes? And there are some things that you can do. So yeah, really education is key with all of it. I think with anything and preparing for birth, but also, and I know that you've talked about this on other episodes, but also preparing for postpartum. I don't think that enough people, they are thinking so much about the birth, which is great and important, but really thinking about your care and recovery postpartum and what that looks like. Educating yourself on that. If you're hoping and planning to breastfeed, educating yourself on that, getting the resources all set up ahead of time. So then that way, when it happens, you just have to make the calls and people already know that they can expect you. So really thinking about all of that and planning it ahead of time. And that sort of thing to me was a lot easier because I can plan that. But birth, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see. But I have all of these tools in my toolbox that I'm going to try and use and throw at it. And that's, I think, what people need to remember is just having that toolbox filled up. So then okay, if this one doesn't work, let's try a different tool and see what does help you so that you can have the best experience possible, but also just a healthy baby and good delivery.
Yeah. And you know what, too? I would want people to know that sometimes our plans or our ideas don't go according to plan, right?
Totally.
And this may sound silly, but I'll mention this story anyway. I knew I was going in for a C-section, so I came up with a playlist on like my iPad, for the song playlist. And so I picked all these songs that I wanted to hear during the birth of my child. And he was born so quickly via C-section.
Yes.
That I didn't even get to play one song before they took him out. So I heard 0 of the songs on the playlist that I made, which again, sounds stupid in the scheme of things. But use that.
That is not stupid. Tara, let me validate you for a moment. This is your birth experience. You are birthing your baby. And in that moment, I would have been like, excuse me, as your doula in the labor, in the OR, I would have been like, okay, wait 1 moment. We need to make sure that Tara's playlist is playing, that we have the camera ready. I want to make sure I have video going so she gets that first breath and all that. Like, no, you should have had that. And the doctor should have known that. So Tara, no. You can feel that. That is valid.
Thank you. Well, I'm just happy they got him out quickly. So I'm pleased about that. But I will always remember the playlist because I painstakingly picked the right songs that I wanted to hear. And then he was in and out so quickly. He was out so quickly. Like that was it. So again, I'm very grateful for that. But let's say someone's birth plan is much more serious than just listening to music, right? Yeah. Let's say you want to go natural and then you end up having a crash C-section, like my mother, right? Like 40 years ago, she labored for 48 hours only to find out that her baby was breech and then only to find out that she had to be a crash C-section. My mom didn't wake up for 2 or 3 days later because the general anesthetic to find out, like, surprise, you had a girl. And she was thrilled, but she didn't even know like her name at that point. She was just so delirious. So that was not her birth plan. That was not what she thought was going to happen. Luckily, look, she had me. And so everything worked out. I'm just
love it. Yes.
And I was her only child. That was it. That was one and done. She had such a horrific birth that she was like, okay, I'm good. Yeah. And I'm sure she's not alone in that situation. No. And so what do you say to the parents who, and again, I'm not trying to scare people because I think it's important that we talk about these things.
Yes, absolutely.
But what do you say to the people when their plan may not go according to plan?
Yes. So that is a big reason why I call it, yes, a birth plan, because that's what people think of them as, and that's what they search, and that's what they know them to be called, a birth plan. But really, it's more of just like your birthing preferences, your birthing intentions. And honestly, a birth plan is not about the plan. It has actually nothing to do with the plan. That's the benefit of making your birth plan. It's about educating yourself while you're making your plan, because you're learning about, okay, if I stall out at 6 centimeters, what are my options? Oh, okay. I can do nipple stimulation. I can walk the halls. I can use a peanut ball. The doctor is not going to probably first recommend those things. They're first going to say, okay, let's give you some Pitocin. Maybe we need a cervical ripening agent. Maybe we need to do a balloon dilator. Maybe we need to break your water. They're going to do more medicalized things. So learning what your options are is really the whole point of making a birth plan. It's not, this is the plan of how my birth is going to go. It's really a worksheet or an exercise that you do that when things don't go according to plan, what is the next thing that you feel most comfortable with your body and your baby, because this is your birth. And the doctor cannot do anything without your consent, and it should be informed consent. You should be informed about the decision that you are making, not just agreeing to whatever the doctor is recommending, but really understanding what the benefits and risks are to each of those options, and you making an informed decision on what is best for you and what you feel most comfortable with. So when you have this birth plan, yes, these are your preferences, and we hope that it works out that way. But yes, like I said, birth is unpredictable. We do not know what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, I always like to say that babies determine really how they want to be born. You know, like your son, he was like, no, I'm cool right here. I'm cool sitting just like this.
Yes,
and he wanted to be born that way.
That was it. He always nestled himself underneath my right rib. So like in utero, he was always right there by my right rib. And that's why I always identify him with that. And you know, now when he snuggles against my side on my right rib, I think, oh, that's just like his favorite spot. So you're right. So now here we are 10 years later, he still snuggles on my right rib.
Yes. So yeah. So back to your comment about what do you say to someone when their plan does not go according to plan? I'm like, don't think of your birth plan as a plan that you are following. This is not a roadmap that we are following. This is just your preferences that we need to know so that when things don't go according to plan, we know what you would prefer to do. So is it the more natural routes, unmedicated routes? Because normally when I'm working with a client or educating someone on these things is the more medical interventions that we have, think of it as like the snowball rolling down a hill. You know, they sometimes once we make one, it leads to another, which can lead to another. And it's not always that way, but usually there's a medical intervention cycle that will grow and grow, and it will lead to an emergency C-section. So that's why we try to make sure that, you know, by informing parents what their options are ahead of time and how to delay certain things, not break your water too soon, not get Pitocin too soon, these kind of things that can really help you in the long run have the birth experience that you want. It may not be exactly the way you wrote it on your plan, but hopefully it gives you still a good feeling of, wow, my birth was still beautiful and I still had a good experience and feeling positive that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question to you also now is, what should we be putting in our hospital bag?
Oh my gosh. So I will say, it's so funny. You know, those like on Instagram and TikTok, you'll see like the first mom, they have like all of the stuff. And then the second time mom, it's like a couple things. And then the third time mom's like, I got my champagne and like texting my husband to meet me at the hospital.
Yes.
That's so true. It is so true. I feel like the first time mom brings all the things, which is great. Do that. Go with your bad self. I like it. For the more minimalist mom, I mean, something that I like to say is you don't need to bring your mainly what you're packing for is like your postpartum recovery. Because in the hospital for labor, unless you're planning for a natural unmedicated birth, maybe then, yes, you're going to bring, like, you don't even need to bring a birthing ball anymore. They have those at the hospital. You don't need to bring that. But maybe you do want to have like that playlist, like you said, or aromatherapy, or, you know, if you're doing hypnobabies or hypnobirthing, having those affirmations playing, like packing those kind of things for labor is important. But typically, it's like if you're planning an epidural, like bring a long charger so then you can have it like available, your phone like ready to go. Have things that are going to entertain you because it could be a long a long stay. So like, and there's only so much that they have on TV. So bring your laptop so you can watch a couple shows and have your call list ready so you can let people know like, hey, this is what's going on, that sort of thing. But really you're packing mainly for postpartum. So, but with postpartum, like I was just saying, you don't need to bring like the padsicles and all of that stuff. Like leave all of that stuff at home. You really just need a really good like nursing bra if you're planning on nursing, even if you're not, just a good sleeping nursing bra to be comfortable, a good nightgown robe so then you can be comfortable. Also, something that people do not know or think about that I highly recommend is bringing your own pillow. Y'all, if you have stayed at a hospital, their pillows are like paper. They are so thin and they'll only give you like 2 or 3 and your husband needs 1 and he's complaining about how thin that one is. And you're like, but I need at least 2. There's 2 of us in this bed, you know, my baby and oh my gosh, it is so uncomfortable. So definitely if I could recommend anything just to remain comfortable, bring your own pillow. But I will say don't have a white sheet on it because if it on accident gets mixed up with the hospital pillows, bring like a different color pillowcase on it. So then they know that, oh, this is her pillow. We're not going to like discard this or whatnot. Or yeah, something like that. And also bring lots of food and snacks for postpartum because you never know when the kitchen is going to be open and the vending machine always has gross stuff sometimes. And so having your own snacks, my clients will bring like a cooler with them and they'll have like all of their Gatorades and like their snacks and sandwiches. So they're like, yes, like we don't know what they're going to have and what it's going to be like. And then they'll even have like champagne or whatever and pop a bottle once the baby's born. Like have fun with it. Like whatever's going to make you feel comfortable. But also none of that's necessary too. So it's what you feel is going to make you feel comfortable and, yeah, just really get you through that postpartum stay. But it's really just the toiletries, maybe a nursing pillow if you want to bring that, you know, just that kind of things. What was the thing that was really helpful for you in the hospital, Tara?
The one thing that I really recall meant something to me was before my son was born, I went to Marshall's or TJ Maxx, I think it was Marshall's, and I bought a nice pair of matching flannel pajamas. And like, you know, like the button down ones.
Oh yeah.
And
I was thinking matching you and your baby. I was like, oh my God, that is the cutest.
Oh my God, no, that'd be so cute. No, that's like next level really cute. No, these ones, I can tell you exactly what they look like. They were dark navy blue and they had pink cherries on them. I think they were like DKNY. And I just went to the store and I was like, this is what I want to pack for my hospital bag so that I could have nice matching, tops and bottom pajamas.
Your little set.
Yeah, my little set, my matching set. And so that is what we took our hospital pictures in. You know, when the photographer comes the next day and takes pictures, that's what I was wearing. And that was the one thing that I was like, I really need. It was my matching pajamas. Also, fact about me, I wear matching set pajamas every night. Like I'm like, that's my one thing. I love it. Shout out to Cozy Earth, which just like,
the best.
I love Cozy Earth.
Right.
So yeah, I wear Cozy Earth pajamas every day, but those ones weren't, but now I do. That's sort of that's my deal. Anyway, but that was my deal in the hospital
one
too.
One more thing that you should bring that people don't think about is a white noise machine because hospitals make weird noises and
hard to sleep.
It's hard to sleep. And then not only is baby sleeping a little better, but hopefully it's drowning out some of the hospital noise and you can sleep a little bit better too. And another tip, it's not what to pack, but ask to cluster your postpartum night care. Otherwise, they are going to be coming into your room every 15 minutes to an hour to check on your vitals. And mama, you need some sleep. You just gave birth. So say, can we please cluster my postpartum care so that you don't need to come for like 3 or 4 hours and then you can check my vitals then. So then that way they do everything at one visit and then give you a couple of hours until they see you again. So you can get some rest.
That's such good advice. And those are the types of things that people don't know.
Yes. I know. And it's sad because then women are like, get me out of here. I want to go home.
You know, it's funny. When my son was born and he was born on a Tuesday and Thanksgiving was that Thursday, like a few days later.
Yeah.
And so we had Thanksgiving dinner at the hospital.
I
But
love it.
I was so hungry that I didn't even care that it was crap because I was like, this is amazing.
I get to eat again. I had a
Yes.
C-section and I wasn't allowed to eat for days.
Yeah, now I'm going to eat and I'm going to eat this hospital Thanksgiving meal. And it was great. But I like the idea of what you said about the cooler and the snacks. I didn't even think about that.
Oh,
I think I was just drinking their apple juice and eating their graham crackers.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, no, you want your own drinks, your own stuff. And you can leave that in the car. It's a cooler. Like, leave it in the car. You don't need to bring it all the way up to labor and delivery because more than likely they're not going to let you have any of that during labor and delivery. Maybe they'll let you have some Gatorade. But yeah, then that way, once you get moved to your postpartum room, have your partner go and get your cooler, bring it all up, and then you can have all the snacks that you want. And it's great.
Yes. Oh man, I love that. I love snacks, but I think
Yeah, me too.
I drank my weight in their apple juice because, like, you know, they have the little things.
Yes.
You
Those
know what I'm
tiny
talking
cups.
about.
Yes, I do. That, like, with the lid that you have to
It
peel
peels
open.
back. Yes. I drank gallons of those.
Girl, you needed that sugar. You needed it for energy. I feel it. I get it.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It was super important. So, Nina, this next question I ask all of my guests, and I'm curious to see your take on it. What do you think is the biggest modern mom problem right now?
Oh my gosh. The biggest modern mom problem. Well, I feel like everyone is going to tell you, like, digital media, social media, because that didn't exist for many, many years. So I feel like you get that answer all the time. So I'm going to try and be like a little bit creative. So, gosh, that's a great question. I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong in this assumption, but I feel like back in the day, moms were cool with the role that they played. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom and this is what I do. And nowadays women are, and mothers, the modern mom problem is we feel like we have to do it all. Like, we feel like we have to be a stay-at-home mom, but we feel like we need to contribute to our family financially. So we need a job, but we need to stay home. Like, we still need to be the default parent. Like, this whole pressure is just so much. And then also, like, back then they didn't know what gentle parenting was. And like, so then you're like judging yourself on how you're doing certain things where they probably just smacked you back then. And so now we're like, oh, there's trauma with that. We shouldn't do that. That, you know, we know better. So trying to do it right while trying to feel like you have to do it all and then being watched every move if you post it on social media. So all of that, I think.
That's it. That is a major modern mom problem.
Is what modern mothers are totally facing. I don't feel like my mom, she didn't have, she worked and then she had me and my twin brother and then she stopped working and she loved that life. And, you know, that was almost 40 years ago. And nowadays, I just feel like more and more moms that I talk to, they feel like, while I love being a stay-at-home mom, and this is what I feel like my calling is, I still feel the pressure that I need to have a hustle. I have to do something financially for my family, or the guilt of, oh, I work and I'm the breadwinner of the family. And I feel so guilty that I'm not the, you know, the mom there. That's like the room mom, the home, you know, the classroom mom. Like, there's just so much pressure to be it all, do it all. And we need to give each other a break. Give ourselves a break, you know?
Yes, I do know. I know very much because that sentiment has been echoed time and time again. That is, I think that's probably the single biggest thing. Most people tend to say, for that answer, most people tend to say social media comparison. That tends to be a popular one. But I think the pressures from all of the sides is a really huge issue.
But I think it does stem from social media, because if we didn't see what, you know, some women are doing as a stay-at-home mom and how they're baking bread in their kitchen and like being perfect. And then there's like this high-powered, amazing mom who's kicking butt. And you're just like, yeah, I want to do that too. And, you know, I get it, girl, go for it. But at the same time, like, man, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
take
That's
a breath.
exactly.
Like just, and whatever you choose, it's the right one. It's the right one for you. It's the right one for your family. Don't compare it to somebody else's story. So I think that why a lot of people say the social media comparison is because this thought of we need to do it all, be it all of that stems from some of that. And maybe I think our moms and generations before, just from like get-togethers with mom groups or whatever, there's always the comparison trap that we fall into. That's just human nature, unfortunately. But I think it's just exacerbated now because we get to see it's filtered, but a closer look at people's lives. But it's very filtered. Can I just say that? So remember that, people, always.
Yes, it's filtered. It's very filtered.
Yes.
That's what it is. Nina, tell everyone where we can find you and where we can learn more about the Baby Chick.
Yes. So you can find us on our website, baby-chick.com, and all the social media. Mainly people, it's at the Baby Chick. And then, you know, TikTok did not have that available. Someone else had that one. So it's like Baby Chick Official and then all those other things. But so we're on all the social media. And then our podcast, which, Tara, we are pumped
I'm so excited.
have you on our show, Chick
I'm
Chat,
excited.
the Baby Chick podcast. So you can always find us there on wherever you listen to podcasts. So yeah, that's where you can find us and learn more.
Everyone, go follow them. Go listen to the podcast. Go check out the website, all of the things. Nina, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Tara.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Probs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, your host, Tara Clark. Join me next time when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and a rating. As always, you could head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, A Survival Guide for 21st Century Mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time, folks.